Well, today, our Verified team is taking on a question about your rent. Right now, as we know, prices are not going up as quickly as they were, but they are still on the rise. A viewer contacted us when she saw a sudden hike in her rent. So what can and can't your landlord do when it comes to increasing what you pay? Our Jerry Carnes verifies.
Imagine the shock when a new lease arrived informing a Metro Atlanta woman that her rent was increasing from $1,170 to $1,291 a month. That's an increase of more than 10%. That renter was surprised it could happen anywhere, especially in an apartment that's part of an affordable housing program. She asked us to verify if landlords can increase rent so dramatically. Our sources are Georgia law, the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, and Dr. Taylor Shelton with Georgia State University's Urban Studies Institute. Georgia law is pretty clear. It says that local governments here cannot regulate the amount of rent charged by a landlord.
But you might be able to bargain with your landlord on an individual basis, but in reality, there are no legal limits on how much rent they could increase.
Dr. Shelton tells us the only restriction is when a landlord can increase your rent. Typically, they can't do it in the middle of a lease. The Georgia legislature has considered changing the law to limit rent increases.
They unfortunately didn't get very much traction, and it's a very uphill battle to climb to do that in a state that's so property rights friendly.
The Department of Community Affairs tells us there are some limits when it comes to federally subsidized affordable housing. There are maximum amounts a landlord can charge that can be based on a renter's income or the median income of a county. As long as it doesn't exceed the maximum, a landlord can increase the rent as much as they want from lease to lease. So we can verify it's true. Landlords in Georgia are generally free to increase your rent 10% or more when you sign a new lease.
Well, if your apartment is part of the low-income housing tax credit program in Georgia, landlords have to give you at least 4 months notice if they're raising the rent 5% or more. Now, generally, landlords can wait until they offer you a new lease to notify you of any rent increase. And if you hear or see something online you want us to verify, send us an email. You can also text verify to the number on your screen. That's 404-885-7600.